Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in. I have to admit, like the minute I saw Candie, I started crying. So we like couldn't record from the beginning. And because I was just so grateful that she was alive. So you're gonna meet Candie. She's been one of my a very close friend of mine for decades now. Actually, ever since Lily was born. No, Rosie, Lily was born. I met her the day I was giving birth to Lily because we were both at a wedding expo, and she's like, "When do you do?" And I'm like, "Today," and boom, that night I had the baby, or next morning I had the baby, and that was Lily. So again, it's been a good 18 years, and we love each other very much. It's been an amazing journey. Candie lives in Florida. And Candie had surgery, a 12-hour surgery, a couple days before the storm hit, and was not able to leave. And her house is together, her house is there. This is the second time she's gone through a very large hurricane like this. And her neighborhood is one of the only intact neighborhoods practically. But there's been a lot of damage and a lot of crazy things that she's seeing in her backyard with all of the water that's come in. So Candie, welcome, and thank you so much for taking time to talk about something that's very emotional and very real. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hopefully I won't cry. I'm usually good, and all of a sudden something will hit me.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Well, this is a big thing. And so I guess we would all love to know, what are you seeing now? It's a couple days later. What did you see the day of? What did it feel like coming out of your home? Like, I know you had an alligator in your front yard and wild boars, and like, just share with us what's kind of happening in your area, and what is some of the best thing what are things that we can do, knowing you can't get mail delivered or Amazon or anything.
Yeah, that's true. We last Thursday, Friday, I had surgery, and I wasn't really with it Saturday afterwards. And by Sunday, I realized I had ran out to go to the grocery store in the morning and to get some gas, and the gas station didn't have any gas already. And when I had went into surgery and stuff, and even Saturday, that storm was supposed to go up to Tampa Bay and up to the Panhandle. But by Sunday, and I know people don't realize this, but where we live in Fort Myers, it's on a normal day's drive. It would take 8 hours just to get to the border of Georgia and Florida. So it isn't so simple, just leave. Well, it doesn't work like that. There are literally two highways to get out of Florida from the south. One is on the East Coast, 95, and one is by us, which is 75. What happens is everyone starts getting gas. They start to leave, gas runs out, and the freeways become a parking lot. So unless you leave 4 or 5 days before the hurricane, you are stuck, because you can end up on that freeway in the middle of a parking lot, no gas, and now you're sitting duck for the hurricane coming.
And that happened. There were people sitting there.
Yeah, they run out of gas. What do they do? So do you try to make it out? And that 8-hour drive, 7-8 hour drive just to get to that border now turns into 20 plus hours. So it isn't like you're going to make it out in that 7-8 hours. You're not going to make it out. So and you just don't know where these storms are going. That's the other thing. So we hunkered down. We put our storm shutters up, which are metal. This is the first time we got them up that are metal ones. When we went through Irma, we got stuck for that one too. Not intentionally. We happened to be down in the Keys the week before, actually 5 days before, and you are off the grid where we were. And a ranger finally came around and says, "By the way, there's evacuation. You guys have to leave." And we all went, "What for?" I mean, we had no idea. And they said, "Irma's coming." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? That's not for 2 weeks." And they're like, "No, it's coming now." And we're like, "What?" So we got stuck then too. This time, about 1.5 years ago, we had a metal roof put on our house. Thank goodness, because I don't think after Irma, our roof would have held up to a 4-cat, hurricane. I don't think it would have. So anyways, we hunkered down, got the shutters up, tried to take any missiles out of the yard and out of the lanai and anywhere we could see that was going to cause an issue. And we tried to store everything or stow everything. And we literally waited for the storm to come. And
Well, and you mentioned so your husband, who's absolutely amazing, you all would love him. Anyhow, he has a big shop outside, and you said snakes were coming in and just going up the rafters a day or two ahead. They could tell. And I think knowing you and how much you love all the animal life, I know you welcomed them. But like that must have been really interesting to watch the wildlife.
Jay had said to me, he'd come in, he goes, a big 5-foot yellow rat snake. It's not venomous, this one, but we have venomous snakes here.
Mhm.
Rattlesnakes and water moccasins. And he goes, yeah, I just watched it go right up the pole, up into the rafters. And I looked at him and I said, and this was 2 days before the hurricane hit. I said, Jay, I said, they know what's coming. I said, they know it. I said, when you go out to the shop, I said, you really need to carry your gun with you. I said, because I don't need a water moccasin or a rattlesnake falling on you. Besides that, all animals are now looking for dry land. And I mean, we're wet. We're flooded here. We're flooded. The water is probably about 20, 25 feet from the house. There's about 4 inches of water in his shop. We did not get any water in the house. Thank goodness.
Incredible.
Damage to the house we had was some fascia and some soffit damage that were ripped off the house on the one side, probably about 15 feet worth. I mean, that's just minor. I have about 1 inch of water in my studio, which is a separate building. And the trees are bowled over. I'm sorry, Karen, all your pretty helping me plant stuff, and you'd cry right now. You'd cry.
Well,
Yeah.
you have like botanical gardens at your place, so that just means I have to come again to help plant. So we're gonna have to redo it because it was amazing, And why don't you share a little bit, Candie? Because I think people probably want to know, like, we know you have a generator, and you had an extra generator that you let one of your neighbors use. But what is everyone doing without generators? And what about all the mold that's going to be growing and the food if they don't have refrigerators? And like, I mean, kind of just paint a picture of what's happening now. And I mean, you have by the way, for those of you who don't know, Candie is a professional musician, and she's absolutely breathtaking to listen to. And her partner, tell us about what happened to his entire street. I mean, just let us know kind of what's going on.
Now, I haven't talked to them since one of the first days, so I'm hoping they're all right. I'm hoping they were able to get back. But they had a house that was in Fort Myers, and they had one on Fort Myers Beach, and they had cabins that were on stilts. There were 7 of them on a street right on the beach, and none of them are left. They're gone. They're absolutely gone. There's nothing there, just the foundation. Well, no, not even foundation, because they were up on stilts. And his own house, I know, was getting water in it. There was areas that, you asked about generators. We do have a generator, thank goodness. Jay made sure he got a good sized generator. But the bad side about that, having a bigger generator that will run the air conditioning to keep the mold out, is that this one takes 16 gallons of gas a day, and gas are not all open. And those that are, you're waiting hours and hours in line. I mean,
even today, you're still waiting that long, hours and hours.
Yeah. Well, okay, now, and I can explain why. So like tonight, thank goodness the weather's going to be cool at night for the foreseeable future, 70 or below. So we'll be shutting our generator off at night to conserve gas. But we have a boat, and we've been siphoning the gas out of the boat to be able to use. So even if they have generators, they might not be able to use them if they don't have gas. So, everyone's kind of stuck. God, there's so many different facets of this. Right now, they had to shut down the freeways, 75 and other roads coming in, because when the hurricane dumped all the water, it sent it up. It sent it up the rivers. And now with all the water that was dumped on Orlando, and all the water that was dumped, that water has to go somewhere. It's coming back down the rivers, and the rivers are starting to crest. They've closed off the roads. They've closed off the freeways. And guess what's not coming? Gas, food. We're kind of, you know, we have to wait for the waters to recede is what we have to do. So like I said, even if they have generators, they may not be able to use them because of no gas and waiting in line, you know?
Okay.
So I mean, it's dangerous. I mean, I'll tell you a little bit about here. You know, we have minimal damage. It was scary. When the hurricane came ashore, it first sat right at Sanibel, right in the water, and we could watch it. We still had TV going because it hadn't hit us yet, and it was that eye wall was 177 miles an hour as it hit Sanibel, and as it came on shore, it just slow. It was just slow. It was horrifying, and you knew it was coming. And we're just 25 miles away from Sanibel, 25 miles east. I remember when we bought this house, I wanted to be on the east side of 75. Thank goodness, because on the west side is where most of the flooding is going. And not that we're not flooded, we are. We got lucky that when the eye wall was happening, as it was coming around, we were right at that outer edge. Sometimes we'd get hit by the eye wall and sometimes we wouldn't, where we just get wind. We didn't get as much rain as actually Irma gave us, but the winds were horrifying. We had sustained winds at the airport here. So and Fort Myers Airport is just 4 miles from us. We're on the backside of it in a preserve area. And when they had sustained winds at 83 miles an hour with gusts of over 100 miles an hour for hours we had. And you could hear it. You could hear it. You know, Karen knows there's a huge, huge live oak behind her house. It's probably well over 100 years old. It's huge. And, you know, I prayed also that it wouldn't fall. But you could hear the branches and big, huge branches hitting the top of the house. And I remember Jay going, "Oh my God," because I hope, you know, the roof isn't ruined and stuff. You know, he went up on top of the roof the day after the hurricane. We have a metal roof. There was not even a dent, not even a dent. We will always have a metal roof, you know, now, I mean, wow. I remember Jay being insistent on having a metal roof, and I'm like, that's fine with me, you know. You know, we're lucky. You know, our road is fine. They came down here with emergency vehicle to assess the road to see if fire trucks and ambulances that could get down here. He said, because we have 3 people on our road that maintain it.
And it's a dirt road. It's a dirt and gravel road. So I've been on it several times. Iris has been on it, you know, but, and you do, this is important because those 3 people, Jay being one of them, are taking such great care of the road and keep going. But I want them to know it's not a normal road.
Oh, no, it is not a normal road. As a matter of fact, 3 weeks ago, we actually had gotten flooded here, which doesn't help because the ground was very saturated, which is why probably half these trees got bowled over, is because the ground was really saturated. But on our road in a number of areas, we had so much water in the road, we had rivers going through our road and washing the road away. And then then Ian hits, and you're just like, oh no, you know, will we be able to get out? Will we have a road? But one of the guys happens to work on a golf courses here, and he sent his crew in to help fix our road as yesterday. And we're like, wow, you know, so we could get on and off. And when the emergency vehicle came down our road, he was like, I'm surprised your road is in really good shape. You know, and I know it's because, you know, not only all the maintenance we've had on it, but what Chris, the guy that owns all the cattle.
Well, and that's what I wanted to point that out, Candie, because you have a community. Like, you are one very, very long road. You and I have walked up and down that thing many times. It's how many miles is it?
It's 2.5 miles of dirt road.
Yeah, so one way, and so right, and there's only a few houses on it, and all of you are friendly. You're friends with each other. You know each other, so you were able to communicate through all this. And I think the communication is what is so key, because so many times we can feel so isolated, even if we're not communicating with people on a regular basis. But I am so grateful for the communication, and that the cell phone service was so strong for so long, because I mean, now probably for me, as because you're one of my best friends ever, I just like knowing that you may not be there the next day. That was just horrifying because you were right in that line, and just knowing how the 177-mile winds and I mean, and all of us who had family and friends who were stuck there or who hadn't left, like that was terrifying. And of course I was speaking so the whole day. So I'm supposed to be happy and full of excitement. And the whole time I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, so that was really hard, but like I wasn't in it, you were in it. And so I mean, how did you stay? And people are going, oh, she'll be fine. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's easy to say. But when you're there and you're in the middle of something like that, to have that much faith or to have that much, I mean, all we did as your friends and family, and I know you had phone calls from everywhere, was to pray for your safety and just pray that there'd be a bubble over you, because, everyone's not so lucky. Like, how did you emotionally go through that?
Well, I'm telling you, my cortisol levels are up. I'm terrified. I'm terrified of the hurricanes. I would have preferred to have left, but it was too late again. You know, it terrifies me. I would be on and off crying.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
It was horrifying. And I think that was why it was so emotional to see you. I didn't expect that reaction when I pulled up the Zoom. It's the first time I've seen you since Wednesday. And
it scared the daylights out of me. We set up a room in the house in case the roof rips off, and a safety room, that's inside. I mean, we have metal shutters, but that doesn't mean if something doesn't fall on you, or the roof gets ripped off, or I mean, you're talking winds that are incredible. I was terrified. I wasn't. I don't think I'm brave enough to handle hurricanes. It's not. This has not been on my bucket list. I didn't want that. It's not. It's terrible. But I'll say that with the roof on, this metal roof, it was a huge difference between this roof. Huge difference, actually, when I think about it. And I didn't even think about it till just now. During Irma, we had gotten new windows put in, but the old roof. And when the hurricane was coming, and the eye went right over us, but the windows were going like this, and all the doors, the windows like this, and we were all just going, oh my God. It didn't happen this time, and I can only think it had to do with the roof.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember any shaking of the doors and windows, so that tells me that roof would not have held. It would not have. That was a Cat 3 that went over us, and this was a Cat 4. I don't think it would have held.
So obviously a metal roof is important. Let's just talk about creating that safe room. And we're both from the Midwest. You and I both were from Wisconsin. We raised our families there. And, having a safe room was important, because if a tornado came ripping through, you had to have a place to go. And so in our safe,
there's no base, nor would you want to be in one because of all the water coming at you. You're at sea level here. I don't know what we're at. I don't know if it's 20 to 27 feet, maybe above sea level. That's about it here. And we're 25 miles inland. But there's no basements.
Right.
So, your safe room has to be, in our case, it was a bathroom in the center of the house that has no windows. So I put in there two 72-hour food packs, a pitcher of water, blankets, a big thick mat to put over the top of us in case the roof came off, or stuff started coming in on us. And this is something to think about, only because recently, and this had been maybe 2 months ago, I said, Jay, what would really help? I said, is if we got one of those, and I happen to use a company to get, those food storages that would last 25 years. I said, I can can and stuff and do all that kind of stuff and store.
You're cutting out a little bit here, Candie.
Am I right? Can you hear me?
Now we can. Yep. Just repeat that, what you went to get.
I said to Jay, I wanted to get some food storage stuff. I mean, like that would last 25 years. And I just did that 2 months ago. And then he goes, if it makes you feel better. And I said, yeah, it does. I said, because here's what happened. And this is what's happening right now. Not only do you have, if they have no refrigerators working because the generators, they can't get gas, all their food is spoiling. You can't always get food from the grocery store, and you're not going to be buying meats and stuff. Everyone's going for the canned, the dried. So you have no food. And the snowbirds come down this time of year too. And because they don't have food, they all get the food too. You know, so everyone is trying to eat. So I ended up getting a 150 to, or a month and a half supply of just storage food, you know, that we could rip over to emergency food. And that should be, and actually for everyone, but in our case, especially because what just happened 2 months later, a hurricane comes. And I said, you know, Dustin, my son was like, Mom, you guys have food? You have, and I'm like, Dustin, I just got in that month and a half supply of food. You know, he goes, well, I was good thinking. And I'm like, yeah.
Okay, so speaking of this, so as I've already mentioned, Candie is, of course, my friend, and you have to tell them what you're drinking right now because I just laughed.
So
what's in that, Candie?
This I just made a smoothie. It is chickpeas that
You heard that right. Garbanzo beans.
Garbanzo beans. I had just cooked them up. I had let them. Yeah, I just had put them in the slow cooker and cooked them, so they were just cooled off. I put in here almond butter, cacao powder, vanilla, a half a banana, half a avocado, ice, and coconut milk and coconut yogurt.
So you are dealing with what you got, aren't you? That's awesome. And it tastes good. It looks good.
Yeah, it's very good. Sorry.
I love it. Good. So making sure people have food and making sure they're aware of what they would need in case of a safe room.
And water.
Water.
I know this is going to sound TMI for most of you, but during Irma, we couldn't flush the toilets because we had to shut off. I didn't have the power anymore. We had to shut them off at night. And I went, oh, I know. So I would go out with a pitcher into the yard that was flowing up 4 feet from the house. And I'd grab a pitcher, go to the bathroom, and I'd dump the pitcher into the toilet bowl because, of course, what does it do? It automatically flushes. You know? But survival stuff. This is survival stuff. Okay, what do you do? What do you do? I don't know what the boys next door are doing. The boys next door, their septic is backed up.
Oh gosh, and
they have no power. Their septic is backed up. So I honestly don't know what they're doing at the moment. We've offered them generators. Our neighbors have a generator for them too if they need one. So,
well, good.
As far as the rest of the country right now, I mean the rest of the state, our roads are screwed up right now. They're waiting for the rivers to crest. The Peace River, the Myakka River, that water had to go somewhere that fell on top of the state. And not only did the hurricane push the water up the rivers and flooded it, all that water that came down in the middle of the state, that water has to go back out. So it's going down the rivers. It's going south now toward us, and it's flooding the rivers. These rivers are cresting to heights that have never been crested before. So last night, I don't even know because I didn't catch, you guys actually get more than me news-wise, but they're crested to a point where last night they had stopped everyone both ways on the freeway because it was going to crest over our only freeway on this side, only one, and other rivers too. So even some of those areas that you want to get out of, this is a state that has rivers running through it and canals running through it. You know, everyone's just kind of stuck. It's just kind of stuck, you know? So, I mean, we're kind of in a bind at the moment.
What about all the animal life and the fish and the sharks and the manatee and, you know, all your alligator friends and like everything that's looking for a home? They're just as confused. Yeah. They're worried. They're nervous. You know, they don't know.
So this is one of the things that happened. And people got complacent, which is a shame. When Irma came through 5 years ago, they were told on Sanibel, Cape Coral to leave and evacuate. And they did. When this 10-foot wall of water so all the water got sucked out into Fort Myers, out of Fort Myers Beach. They said it's going to come back as a 10-foot wall. When it didn't come back as a 10-foot wall, they were actually mad. Oh, we didn't have to leave, see? And I said to one of my friends, I'm like, that's bad. I said, because next time this happens, they aren't going to want to leave and they're going to be in trouble. And that's just what happened. The water got sucked out of Fort Myers Beach with iron, and it came back a 10-foot wall. I've seen pictures, and I know these places, and I'm shocked, absolutely shocked. I actually have a video on my Facebook page. Someone posted me. There's a shark swimming down the street. And you can. I mean, I'm sure it's one of many that someone actually got pictures of. They're looking for dry land. We had wild boars at the front of our property here, and they're dangerous. Jay said he saw one just down the road. 0.2 of a mile down the road. We have alligator. My friends on the road came to check on us to see if we were okay with their 4-wheeler. And she says, as we left, there's a 5-foot gator standing. It's sitting over by your tree, which is what, 75 to 100 feet from the house. I have to be careful. I have rubber boots, and unfortunately one of them is leaking, which sucks. So I'm out. Okay, you don't want to wear rubber boots and not wear socks or something. So one, I can wear socks, the other I can't. And I can start to get blisters. I'm like, but I can't step in the yard without boots on. We have everything from Asian walking fish to gators and fish swimming by in the shop, and minnows you see everywhere in our yard, to gators. We have to be careful. And also we don't know what's in the yard. Metal, this, that, and last thing we need to do is get hurt, get cut, emergency, hospitals. And I mean, they have enough on their, not to be worrying about someone taking a risk and walking in flip-flops and stuff, which is my normal footwear,
Yes. Well, and I think that's something people wouldn't think about when you're like, okay, you want to have everything, set at your home in case of an emergency. They're not thinking get rubber boots. They're not thinking maybe get a bunch more flashlights, make sure you have enough gas stored. I mean, sometimes it's about what's happening in the house, but then afterwards, making sure you have a gun and some ammunition, because some of those wild boars are in your freezer, so like it's important for people to realize. Candie's a really good shot, by the way.
So Jay missed the boar, and I said, why didn't you tell me? I would have gotten it.
She's so funny. You're so great. Right. And I think I think those are things that are important. I mean, all we can do right now is continue to pray for all the people. And I know you're probably seeing it in your own neighborhood as you are all over Florida, those that are helping other people. It's just nature. And I think that's so important, because it wasn't like your neighbors came over and like, are you Democrat or Republican? We just kind of check on you, but only no one cares. And I think with the world being so divided right now over the stupidest things that aren't even real, we have to remember that that's not all these rescue workers, all these people coming down. No one cares what color your skin is, or what religion you are, or what political party you think is actually, valuable. I just think how do you feel about that?
You're right. Actually, I reached out to a couple of people that kind of cut me off because of different political beliefs and stuff. And I reached out to them, and they reached back, and that's what it's about. It's hard. I mean, that stuff doesn't, and at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything,
No.
It means nothing. I'm amazed at the people that have reached out to me. And I'm telling you, I was so thankful that there were so many people praying, and then there would be people I hadn't heard from in a while. I'm talking months and maybe a year, and they would call me out of the blue, and they would say the same thing. Candie, I'm talking to you so I can distract you from what's going on outside. And I thought, whoa, because that's exactly what I needed, because I was terrified. You just don't know what your house is going to hold up. If it, you just don't know. We were blessed. We had a bubble of protection around us, and but I can't say the same for what happened in Sanibel and Cape Coral and Fort Myers and some of these other communities. There are people that have died. It's horrifying. horrifying. They've lost lives and their homes, and even, and my mom brought this up, and I mean, I hadn't even, I feel numb. I feel surreal, like I'm watching a movie. Is what I feel like. And she said, can you imagine all the people not only lost their homes, but even their jobs, because there's no businesses to go back to. And I went, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know how many people are going to be placed, from this. Yeah, it's horrifying. And then cars and the supply chain. I mean, that's the other thing. The supply chain, we are already low on cars in this country. And now you have all these people that don't have cars. You have people that maybe can redo their homes, but guess what? The supplies not only are jacked up in price, they're hard to get. And what do you do? Fort Myers Beach, they lost probably 90% of Fort Myers Beach is gone. All the businesses, homes. I think I sent you, Karen, pictures of the before and after. I mean, she was there. We went to the beach together, sitting on the sand, and it starts to rain and we're covering our heads, pretending like nothing.
We didn't care. Rain away. We're at the beach.
We're at the beach. We're going to sit here, and it's gone. All of it's gone, it's shocking. It's absolutely shocking. I don't, it's mentally, physically, and it's just numbing. It's just numbing is what it is.
Well, I really appreciate you taking time to just do a recording for people who, want to know and want to hear. I think that's a beautiful thing about people and humanity is we have so much compassion for other people. We just love people. And I think a lot of people, they want to hear a story and they want to relate so they know better how they can, just because up here they can close things, they can make some closure, they can make some thoughts, they can make some changes, they can forgive if they need to forgive, whatever it might be. I just think people love people and we love people's stories. And maybe that's why reality shows are so good, or people follow people's lives on social media, because we are one. And I know I was amazed even after the first presentation that I gave on Wednesday during this entire thing that was happening with you. We called on everybody who was still there if we could just have a prayer, and every single head bowed, every one of the kids, every one of the adults, everyone, to pray for you and your neighborhood and all the people that they would be inspired to do what they needed to do to be protected. It was just amazing.
And it helps for them to understand why people didn't leave. Unfortunately, they got complacent closer to the beach, but some people couldn't leave. I would have liked to have left. Let me tell you.
Right.
I don't like hurricanes. There is nothing. And it happens. So here's the other thing. It happens so quick. Normally it comes off the coast of Africa, and you have a while before it gets to you, and they're watching. And I think someone said this was Aruba. So you knew 5 days, 6 days. That's it. And they were saying it was going to go up to the Panhandle and to Tampa Bay. It didn't. It got sucked right into the Peace River, and that's just north of us. So it's, it isn't, some people just a lot of people just got stuck like us. We had such short notice,
Yep. Well, again, thank you so much for taking time, and thank you for making your chickpea smoothie, which I've never even had a chickpea smoothie before. So now I'm gonna have to go make some chickpeas and try them in my smoothie.
There was almond butter in it too, but yeah,
Okay.
but it's actually really good.
Chickpeas are great for you, so it's awesome. Oh, good. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. And wherever you live, having that couple months supply, having water, having rubber boots, having something to help protect your family against, animals and things that might be coming your way, depending on a storm or depending on a drought, whatever it might be. I think it's just important that we take some extra time to put away for tomorrow, instead of just putting away for today. So I think I'm so glad that you and Jay did that.
Having cash on hand, because places going to get gas or food, they're only accepting cash. So, because the machines aren't working,
Mhm.
power. So, it's thinking, and for wherever you are, you could be in Washington State, and that's a whole different set of circumstances.
Mhm. Yep.
I got
And that's such a good point, because having that cash in case something goes on and there's no electricity to run cards, I've been in that predicament a few times, and I'm glad I've had that cash. So great point.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. Guys, if you guys can continue to pray for us, and it's just mind numbing, not mind numbing, and it feels surreal. I feel like I'm watching a movie, is what I feel like.
Yeah. And again, all those people out of work and out of school and displaced, and well, Floridians are amazing people. They attract amazing people. They are amazing people. And all we can do is watch the amazing people pull together and help one another and be an inspiration to the rest of our country and the world. So, well, thank you, Candie. Again,
All right, thank you.
great to have you. Don't know what life would be without you. So it was just amazing. And maybe that's our thing is, man, make sure you tell people you love them. Make sure people know where you stand emotionally, because it could all be done in a day. You can lose someone tomorrow. And I just think a lot of people put off forgiveness. They put off valuing relationships and valuing life because they're so so in thinking in the past, and they just can't forgive this, or they just can't get over this. And sadness is dealing with the past and not getting over it, and inner peace is dealing with the present. And so if we all just try to find that inner peace and let go of things in the past, then we're aware and we're present to give love to the people that we have in our life right now. And then we won't be sad later because we didn't do the forgiving and the letting go earlier. And I think that that's what you saw and experienced from all your friends and people that were reaching out to you the entire time. I can tell you, everyone who knows that you're my friend, Karen, have you heard from Candie? I mean, it was just dozens, and so I'm like, just keep praying. Here's the update. And I kept sending updates out because it's the ripple effect. They cared about me because one of my dearest friends was in harm's way. And I just think that's what creates that unity and that love that we each can share with each other. So it was an awful experience for so many of us to go through with you, and for those of you who live there, but it also can be strengthening in so many ways. So thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Karen. Love you.
Love you too.